And we live, fam.
Yay, live.
Hello, Twitch.
You're gonna get the ugly thing while I get everything set up, guys. I'd apologize, but well. 10 o'clock be 10 o'clock, yo.
Indeed. I am very tired.
As am I. But we have friends here.
We do.
Hello.
We have
Hello.
Leah and Ryoga joining us. Ryoga. Sorry. Rye bread ogre.
I have layers.
They are delicious and yeasty.
Ugh.
Listen, man, if you've got yeasty layers, there's ointments for that.
Delicious, delicious ointments.
Grayson seems amused.
Topical use only.
Ointment applied
I can swallow that.
Baby cam.
Bless you, Grayson.
Hey.
Jeez.
3 sneezes.
3. 3 shall be the number of the sneezes, and the number of the sneezes shall be 3.
And our guests deserve to be our Alice.
Well,
As
the
always.
house is currently a disaster because moving. So,
That'll happen.
between moving and baby, I don't know what sleep is anymore.
No, stop it.
DJ, don't break it.
I'm trying not to.
It's breaking it.
I'm actively trying not to break it.
He broke the thing.
I did indeed break the thing. This is why we can't have nice things.
Nice things.
Indeed.
Also, my brother would be very, very jealous of that Transformer collection.
Yeah, it's
You're muted.
Drink.
still picking up on your mic, anyways. It's a thing, and this isn't even all of it.
This isn't even his final form.
Yeah, I've got all my Sailor Moon fig arts over there.
Oh, off camera
And
sadness.
then there's some off this way, and some back that way, and a shelf we built specifically for more Transformers over here.
Okay, so eventually,
Oh, we got moving cam.
since we're showing off things, we do have a giant board game collection.
Ah, and Okami, origin of all that is good and mother to us all.
Yes. And
There we
that's
go.
the Okami Den puppy, so it's the puppy one.
Oh,
Small floof.
small divine floof.
We currently can't get to ours. Half of it is,
Ah, it's one of the little pillow dealy things. Nice.
Aw.
It's soft and squishy.
Now I need to make sure I put my camera back right. I did not.
Power of the sun in the palm of your floof.
After all, every day then is Sunday.
Who decided that?
As opposed to Hyundai, which they get really upset if you call them Hyundai instead of Hyundai.
Which is interesting because in the Korean, yes, that's the way it's pronounced, but in the Japanese, it's actually pronounced the other direction.
You're drooling all over.
Drooly baby.
Yeah, I tried asking my Nissan about that, but he said we'd have to get the Kia first.
Yeah, you usually have to shove you around a bit first.
Well, I was trying not to ram the funds home too hard.
Dialogue. I deal with car people all the time.
So, can you afford to listen to this? Or
Guys,
you
can we
just-
please focus?
But it's a fiesta if we don't.
You guys have no soul. None.
Well,
But we
you know,
have
we have
great
to have our
kicks.
Fiero moment.
That's relevant because it's new.
I'm glad Subaru doesn't rhyme with anything, and that is not a dare. I do enough stuff for them.
I mean, I thought I had something, but it might have just been deja vu.
Saw that one coming.
I mean, if you really want to get down to it, everybody leaves a legacy. Some people have something out back, and other people like to go into the Forester.
Nice.
Just as long as you bring a navigator.
Well, otherwise you don't have an expedition.
Driving across the terrain and climbing up the ascents, and I hope you're all impressive.
Yeah. We're glad that you are involving yourself.
We're not bugging you, are we?
Don't worry, we won't fly away.
Are you sure? But if you did, I'm fairly sure that's a invention by Tesla, stolen by Edison, of course.
Speaking of Tesla, did you guys see they announced a pickup?
Yes.
Is that? I know they were working on their Y model, so Elon could say he had a sexy line of cars.
Yeah, I think
Pick up that, or is it a new one?
so. The concept art that I've seen for it has it labeled as the Model P.
Because then he can have a sexy P.
I wouldn't put it past him.
And of course, it's going to be of a sizable enough that he can have a big P.
Yes.
Well, given that he called the Dodge Ram a toy compared to this truck.
Good grief. I mean,
Not in terms of physical size, but in torque.
Okay.
I was going to say an electric engine has high torque at low gear. That's fine, but you're going to be.
So silly goose.
And each wheel has its own electric motor.
So basically,
There's the article I saw if you guys are curious.
So I should. So now that I don't have pre-show text up. Whatever. I'm getting yelled at for not have pre-show text up. Good job, me.
Wow.
I mean, you're going to see that on the road.
That actually doesn't look that much bigger than a standard 2500.
Our price under 50, so that's
I just realized
a contraction.
the front is also a flatbed.
Yeah, it has a frunk.
Ow.
I thought those went out of style like a long
That's-
ass time ago.
That's the official name for them. So
Yeah.
I mean, in tech, everything that sticks out of your computer is a dongle, so
What wasn't that the name of the Magic School Bus teacher? Mrs.
that
Frunk.
was Miss Frizzle.
All right, Miss Frunksel.
No.
So on Thursday. No, today's Thursday. Tuesday. No. Yeah, Wednesday. Yesterday. Ha! Did it. Nailed it. First time every time.
I wasn't the only one who did that today.
I did a stream of the Tokyo treat box like I always do every month, and this month they gave us Sakura tea, and I promised I would try it on air, and because I could not get steeped tea water fast enough while I was streaming because I didn't think about it. Also, I didn't know it existed. So now I have nice, delicious Japanese Lipton
Okay,
Sakura tea, and this tea biscuit thingy that they gave us
that is
that I'm going to try because I'm legally obligated to. Kampai.
legal obligations.
Ooh. That is delicious and sweet, but not
It's
like
real light.
sicky sweet. Squishy biscuit. Japanese squishy biscuit. Squishy.
Boing, 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 boing.
Jason is not amused.
Grayson thought you were talking about him. It sounded like.
Grayson does not like squishy biscuits.
Yes. Or he thought you were gonna dunk him in your tea.
That too.
Or that we'd call him a squishy biscuit.
That might be his nickname going forward, though.
It sounds like the kind of thing that would be a nickname going forward.
In top-level trim, it should boast a range between 400 and 500 miles, possibly more. As one might expect, it will be all-wheel drive with a motor for each axle. Musk also noted that the suspension will dynamically adjust according to its load.
So you just have to give it a really big load. I'm still
I
not
doubt
entirely
they'll be
sure.
able to feed a ton.
I'm still not entirely sure how I feel about sweet soy.
Oh, the blue mock-up looks real nice.
Still not sure if I like sweet soy or not, which is what this squishy biscuit is.
Damn those squishy biscuits.
So what? It's soy sauce. So you got that salty taste with sugar in it.
Yeah, it's weird. It's very weird. I don't think I care for it.
Mm-mm.
The tea is delicious.
That's all you, honey.
This is like the third thing that they've sent with sweet soy. Just quit trying to make sweet soy happen. It's not going to happen.
They don't have that much of an option.
Like fetch. Fetch is never going to happen. Fetch.
Right.
Exactly. Because all of my references come from shitty 90s/early 2000s movies.
That movie had a lot of great stuff in it.
Yeah. Made everybody think that Amanda Seyfried was an idiot for most of the aughts.
Unfortunately,
That's the greatest sin of that. Also, people thinking that Lindsay Lohan had a career going forward.
I mean, she
Everything
did, and then she ruined it.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, but she was working with Disney at that point. Once she left Disney, that was a totally different thing.
Yeah. I fulfilled my last obligation. This weird-ass sweet soybean squishy biscuit and this delicious tea. Yay. Thank you, Tokyo Treat. You give me delicious things. Out of this amazing generic live show cup that I keep hiding the thing of. Oh. I think the site's still up. I don't think Dale's taken that down. geek-io.net/generic live home. Okay, no, it is still there. I agree, Grayson. It would have been a crying shame if he brought that down.
Oh. Oh.
did anybody catch the Google Stadia news drop from earlier today?
Did not. I was at work.
Did not.
And then asleep. And then getting
Yeah.
sushi. Yay, sushi.
Sushi was good.
And let's look at Stadia.
So they announced the pricing models and the cost of their controller when they finally release it. It's going to be $10 a month for their Pro version, and that's going to be available in the US and a few other places around November. And then sometime next year, they're going to have a free tier where the graphics being sent are going to be a lot less.
Yeah, you'll need the Founders Edition to play in 2019. It's a slow rollout. Ooh, play through a Chromecast to play it. Nifty.
Yeah. I think the only game you get with it for free, though, is Destiny 2. And then everything else you have to buy.
Yes. Controller is $70 standalone.
Which I think most Xbox and PlayStation controllers are 60, and a set of Joy-Cons is 80, so that's not terribly priced.
Yeah, smack in the middle. I mean, but then again, I jumped in on the Steam controller, which was a mistake, so I'm going to have to not buy that right away to see if it actually plays well. There's a bunch of games that got released that they're going to be that you can buy through there, which is okay, I guess.
I mean, there's a few. If you don't have them already, it's not a bad way to try out the platform. But there's nothing that's like, oh my goodness, I need this thing to play this wherever.
Yeah, they need to get a killer app, and if they don't, then it's not really. It'll be just another flash in the pan try to compete against Steam, because you can do the same thing with Steam.
True.
Just not with your existing Chromecast.
Right. And then Microsoft's going to mention something about their potential streaming service. Sony still has their PlayStation Now.
Yeah. Microsoft has Game Pass, which is coming to Steam, or PC rather, which is a killer deal if you are if you're an Xbox player.
Right. But I think they're doing something in addition to that that they'll announce probably on Sunday.
I do like how Sony just dropped the mic earlier, like last month, and said, "Yep, here's our PlayStation 5," and then fucked off for E3.
Well, they said they weren't going to go to E3 forever ago. It's just, what are they going to do? Are they going to bring back the PlayStation experience? Are they going to do more of those states of play that they've done one or two of and be like Nintendo with their directs?
I think they're probably going to do that. Also, they have a huge meeting on. They have a huge existence at TGS, so
this is true.
I wonder if they're going to focus more on TGS than E3.
Maybe. I'm trying to think. I don't think they said they're dropping out of Gamescom, and that's before TGS.
If they did, I did not hear about that. I don't think that they have.
Not because Gamescom is more you people come in and play our games, as opposed to we're going to announce all the stuff.
Correct. Okay. Oh shit, balls. Where?
Did you catch the Pokemon Direct that was yesterday?
Yeah.
Or any of the
You mean a Sheep Direct?
The what?
Sheep Direct, because that's all anybody is talking about now.
Yes, and everybody's yelling woo-loo.
F the sheep, there's a wolf with a sword in its mouth.
Oh, you mean the Dark Souls boss?
Yes! You got your Dark Souls in my Pokemon, and I can't be happier.
I am just really hoping that Corviknight is Steel type.
It is actually Flying Steel.
Yay!
There's no. I was gonna be really sad if it wasn't. You put Knight in the name, it has to be Steel.
The real question is whether or not it's going to be the actual second stage of the line and there's a Corvus Squire.
That would be really
So then,
cool.
what would be the one above that then? Squire Knight, and then
Baronet would be the next level up.
Or it could go Page Squire Knight.
Or
Yeah.
it could just
Maybe.
be one of those two-stage
Because, I mean,
beginning birds.
Pokemon loves their fucking 3-stage starter birds.
I mean, they've done a few that are two.
I mean, if you can take a concept and then with a little bit of iteration and making it bigger, you can have a whole nother Pokemon and just tie it together. That's just efficiency.
I do.
It's just two of them standing on top of each other, and it's called Corvijoust.
I do want to give a shout out to them for having a freaking British guy be the art director for the game.
Right?
That's crazy.
I was kind of laughing while watching the direct because you have the quote unquote real time dub over translation for the Japanese guys, and then you get to the English dude who's talking very slowly and clearly so that the translators will have an easier time translating his part into Japanese.
Yeah, it took me a couple seconds figuring. I'm like, why is this guy talking like that? Oh, right, being translated into Japanese.
Right.
Like, I don't understand why this guy is talking like he is.
I know he almost seemed like he was really nervous and like, really, art director, that can't be it. In front of people and justify why this crazy thing should be a cute, cuddly thing that people will love.
Why there is a sheep and another turtle. Admittedly,
I love the look of the turtle.
I love the turtle, but there's another turtle. It's like every time there's a frog that comes up, everybody just keeps bringing up there's like 9 frogs. And all of them are blue, except for that one weird green one.
Doing that so you don't wear it.
I mean, how many monkey Pokemon do we have? How many flower Pokemon do we have? We have a whole bunch of birds.
Need more lizards.
All right, just gonna be doing some audio
Chameleon,
tests
take your
here.
pick.
You are listening.
Cool. Hey, this is me testing my microphone. Hey, everybody, everybody talk at once.
Everybody talking at once. Everybody talking at once.
Perfect. I'm a great sound designer. Okay.
Let us know if we need to spike the audio or anything.
No, you're good. It's all good.
Make me I don't know what you're trying to get to in my armpit, but it's not working for me, kid.
Ugh.
It's a little weird, Grayson. It's a little weird.
That's better. No, that's where he decides to sleep. He'll curl his head into my armpit, and I'm like, no, drink your bottle. No.
Okay. I think we good.
I think, therefore, I am.
I'm not sure exactly why that's going. That's not going to you guys, but it doesn't matter. All right, cool. Cool, groovy. All right. We are going to go do the thing in
Yay, do
3,
the thing.
2.
You are listening to a podcast of the Geek IO Media Network. For all of our shows and more, visit geek-io.net. And to help support the network, head over to patreon.com/geekio.
Hello, gentle listener. While Geek IO holds its talent to the highest standards, what follows will likely involve the sort of language usually reserved for sailors on leave. If you're of a delicate disposition, then perhaps you would consider a different podcast.
I had to finish my tea while the British man was talking.
Calling all geeks. Geeking out across the globe. Hold on to your butts. It's the Geek IO Show.
The Geek IO Show.
Yes, indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to the Geek IO Show episode number 297. Holy crow. We have 3 episodes left before 300, you guys.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh boy. This is June 6th, 2019. And I am drinking tea while a British man is talking CJ.
I'm jumping ahead in the show notes, Carrie.
Rachel has her mouth full.
I might be jumping ahead of the show notes, but I'm trying to get the show notes to load properly. Hi, it's Rachel. Anna Grayson was about to fuss at me because his bottle, he spit it out.
Wait, we have show notes?
Yes, there's an anonymous cheetah who is idle, an anonymous duck, and an anonymous kiwi.
Ah, the anonymous kiwi. The most anonymous of flightless birds. I'm Josh.
I'm the duck, apparently.
Sorry, I was typing. So joining us this week, I have to put in the title that carries a duck. Joining us this week, we met them at PlayCon. They are fantastically lovely human beings, and here to talk about their awesome game, Orion Spur, are Leah and Ryoga from Fiero Initiative.
Yay! And hello, everyone. I hope you're all having a lovely evening.
I mean, I'm not at work, so
That is a plus. That is always a plus.
This is a massive plus. How are you guys?
We are faring quite well.
Excellent.
Seems that you guys are as well.
Yeah. Been busy, but good.
Busy can be very good.
Tends to keep people out of trouble.
Yeah, or get me in more in my case. So tell us and the listeners at home a little bit about you guys.
Let's see. I mean, I've been a geek for most of my life, playing lots of video games, playing board games, reading. I currently work as a data analyst.
Hey, me too.
Yes, crunch all the numbers, find all the funky looking data, and then tell everybody.
Sorry, I didn't mean to press that.
Science.
How it is.
I mean, numbers are science.
I couldn't
Numbers
have picked
language.
couldn't have picked a better one to press accidentally, but I didn't mean to press that. Just trying to close out my soundboard so I didn't press something accidentally.
And in the process, press something. Good job.
Yes, the button works.
Yeah. I'm good at my job.
Actually, the cool thing is I'm really good at mine too. The other job that I have when I'm not designing games, which is really one of these cool hobbies I have, is that I actually work in a game shop, the tabletop game shop, which is really cool.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's one of those environments that you really can truly geek out with a lot of geeks of different styles and flavors, and really gives you a good chance to be able to see a lot of the various different communities and individuals within the gaming communities here. So really cool.
Awesome.
That is awesome. All right. We should talk about the stuff that we have been doing this week in Gadgets, Games, and Gizmos.
Gadgets, games, and gizmos.
Yes, indeed. This is Gadgets, Games, and Gizmos, where we talk about the stuff that we have been doing in the last week. I just said that, but I'm going to say it again because I can. We're going to start with our guests, and of course, ladies first. Leah, what have you been up to this week?
I have been playing a lot of Tetris Effect and Crypt of the Necrodancer, if you're familiar with those.
Crypt of the Necrodancer, yes, but I don't know what Tetris Effect is.
I love Crypt of the Necrodancer. I suck at it, but I love it.
I am slowly getting really good with it. I've done a couple of all zones runs, and I'm actually contemplating, do I want to try an all character run? I don't know when I'd have time to do it.
Got to brush up on those skills before Cadence of Hyrule drops.
Oh, I've got my fingers crossed for an announcement during the Nintendo Direct that, hey, it'll be available today. There's rumors it's going to drop this month. So that's what I'm hoping for. As for Tetris Effect, it's by the same people who did Rez and Child of Eden.
Ooh.
And it's on the PlayStation with VR support, and it's just Tetris, but the music that they've incorporated into it, like all these sounds play as you're moving the blocks around. You have this underlying beat. It goes really well. There's a seizure warning. It is a very apt potential seizure warning because there's a lot of flashing lights, but it is a lot of fun and the music's great.
I'm out. I will take your word. I will take your word that is great.
Hey, I mean, you can still listen to the banging music.
That's true. I could just never ever look at it.
Yeah, just close your eyes, turn the other direction, and
Hey, go play a blind run of it.
Better yet, have Rachel call out what the block shapes are as they're dropping.
Oh, that sounds great.
Well, then you should try the modes where they change all the rules, where either some of the pieces are missing, or the board flips upside down, or your controls are reversed. I'm sure you can master it.
Oh no.
What was the one video you were watching, Josh, where somebody was playing something blind and somebody else had to tell him what to do?
Oh, one of these speedrunners I follow, Caleb, he was playing Mega Man X and his girlfriend was telling him what to do when.
Wow.
It went about as well as you would expect.
See, the problem I have with Rachel, she's a freaking troll. So there's no way I'd be able to actually play anything properly because she would troll the shit out of me the entire time. And then berate me to get good, because that is the person that I married.
You could have the have your kids do it, the ones who are big enough to use English words.
Oh, jeez. AJ, yeah, Kia had run into the same freaking issue. Because she is her mother's daughter.
I mean, it's what you have to do.
I think you're talking, Rachel, and you're muted. Also drink. Yeah, 3's about appropriate.
So that's most of what I've been playing if I'm not working or working on the game or the business parts of the game until Cadence of Hyrule drops, and then all bets are off.
And then whatever release date that we had gets pushed back a little bit.
Oh yeah, this is quality testing.
Called studying game theory.
Yeah, we're doing a little bit more research.
So, Raga, what have you been up to?
I've actually been getting back to some of the roots of what I grew up with. I grew up very early with things like the Avalon Hill games and such that did like Civil War and World War II recreation. So one of the best friends that I have right now is called Hearts of Iron 4. They dropped their guns of whatever it was, their Navy patch a number of weeks ago. BattleTech has just dropped their Urban Combat, which is also a very old friend of mine. So things like that. I've also been working on a tabletop called Bolt Action, which is World War II miniatures. That's pretty much what has occupied my non-working times.
Did not see that coming.
Okay.
Yeah. What, you guys working a lot? No.
Yeah, no. Or
Work's just a 4-letter word.
Right? I mean, games just kind of develop themselves, right? That's what we discovered in the last couple of weeks since we've been
Clearly.
talking to game makers. There's no time or effort put into this.
None whatsoever.
No, you
Anyone can do
put
it.
out to the ether, and it coalesces into a final product.
Yeah. Just-
Interesting process. See, for me, I just mash on my keyboard a whole bunch.
oh, so you have been playing Diablo? Gotcha.
All right, so the game that we play is after you guys are done, you guys get to pick who goes next.
All right, Josh. What have you been up to?
A week has been, as usual, primarily occupied by work. But did check out the Pokemon Direct yesterday, and that was mostly entertaining. The new Pokemon that they did show look fun. Excited to get the little Chompy boy. Not very enthusiastic about the Dynamax system.
Yeah.
It's
'Cause-
an interesting idea.
It's not the worst idea I've ever seen because, you know, it's not going to cost you every time you go to use it. But when you compare it to something like Mega Evolutions, which were pretty cool, and Z moves, which were all right in my opinion, it's just like, so what are we doing this time? Let's make them bigger. Oh, okay.
It's just they're trying to get the raid element in there, and
Yeah, there are other ways they could have done that though, you know.
yeah, they showed the bracelet for a second. I thought we were gonna get more ultra evolutions, not ultra evolutions, mega evolutions, and I was super excited until freaking Grookey grew giant. I'm like, Raichu grew giant. I'm like,
And also, just from a design standpoint, it doesn't jive with me because it just inherently makes them look evil.
yeah, it could be the dark
Because
red.
they become suffused with this red glow and there's red clouds spiraling above their heads, and it's like, okay.
Except we know that every villain is lime.
Well, this is true.
But almost every villain is lemons.
Actually, the card games and the game that you're discussing have just been taken over by Sauron a long time ago, which is owned by Disney. So there you go.
I'm
So
really
yeah,
how the local play will end up working with the raid battles and how if they'll try to monetize it somehow.
God, I hope not.
It,
remains to be seen.
I mean, it works. I mean, they don't have raids obviously with Let's Go, but they have multiplayer with Let's Go, and it's just there. I mean, it doesn't interfere with the game too much. They'll probably do what they do with all of their stuff with your Pokemon beauty contests and crap like that, where they force you to do one and then never again. You'll have 4 AI friends, and that'll probably be the hell did we see? Which one did we see that they were fighting against that the Raichu went up against? Gyarados.
the Gyarados, yeah.
It'll probably be the Gyarados, and then you will never have to do them again, hopefully.
On the stuff I did like, really interested to see how the whole wild area, although the name needs a little bit of workshopping if you ask me, mechanic works out with the free roaming Pokemon. Like that is kind of cool.
I'm excited for that. I love the free roaming Pokemon in Let's Go.
When you stop and look at something like you're dealing with, an Onyx, which is, the size of a small building, bare minimum. It's like, how is that hiding in a square of grass this tall?
Yeah.
How did this get the drop on me?
And they definitely don't in Let's Go. Like it is there, and you are, oh, okay.
So yeah, excited for that aspect. And it'll be interesting to see what else, Pokemon-wise they throw out for the new stuff, given that we're working in a region that's heavily inspired by European areas. Because, older countries, a lot of older lore to work off of. So it'll be interesting to see. Outside of that, I haven't done too much gaming this week, unfortunately. So, yeah, I'm pretty boring tonight. And I don't want to talk about the one other awesome thing we did this week because Carrie wanted to talk about it.
Was that a segue?
I think that was a segue.
Can't
No.
hit nudge.
And speaking of segues, we did just see one on stage last night when we went to go see Weird Al.
Woo!
That's right. That was this week, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yep. He kicked off his Strings Attached tour, and it was actually the first night of the tour. He mentioned it on the show, and I didn't realize that it was, and I was like, okay, is this like a bit that he's going for, or is it actually the first show? No, it was actually the first show, and it was awesome. It was Weird Al and an orchestra. There were some times where the orchestra got drowned out a little bit by the very aggressive drumming. But I think that was more the sound engineer balancing things weirdly. But that man puts on a damn good show. Did a lot of his greatest hits from early on all the way up until like he did Word Crimes, which is one of the more recent ones and one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I see Rachel fist pumping there because of course the teacher loves Word Crimes.
Oh, yeah.
Between the words and the music video for that music video has so much little bits and bobs. It was great.
Oh yeah, like the real sentence diagramming.
Yep.
Yeah. Like
Actually, I used that with my
learning about
fourth
the
and fifth graders this year. It was great.
I like when he gets to the line "Lost Cause" and it's ABC's Lost. If you look at the logo, it says like "Learn your ABCs" or something like that.
Yep. Also him taking a pot shot at Alanis Morissette.
Oh yeah, yeah. The difference.
Irony,
between
weather.
irony- Yep.
And
It's also one of the only songs I've ever heard anybody ever do where they actually use appropriately the word mouth breather.
I mean, if there's going to be a song that misuses a word, it is not allowed to be that one. And I mean, the man is a wordsmith. He, this is his craft and he is a master of it. And speaking of which, Holy shit, he can croon when he wants to.
Oh yeah.
That one, Josh, what is the title of that one song? You know the one I'm talking about.
I honestly I can't remember. I know the one you're talking about. I can't remember the title of it though.
Do you remember the album?
Um,
Well,
So
it's the
One
very
More Minute.
croony. Yeah, 1 more minute.
yep.
yeah, where he was like he was getting into it, and he plays up the silly part of his voice for a lot of his stuff, but then this one he actually sang it more seriously with the orchestra, and it was beautiful. And then interacting with the audience and doing Weird Al things.
Getting right up in their faces and wiping his face off with a very, very silky blue bandana and throwing it into the crowd, pulling out his boxer shorts, and
Jeez.
which I'm sure every last one of those things was already autographed.
Probably.
Yeah.
Because he specifically has stuff that he tosses just to toss.
But was there polka? Asks Moose Ferratu. He did break out the accordion for the finale. He was focusing a lot more on the orchestra. So like White and Nerdy and Amish Paradise sounded really cool with the orchestra. In particular, those were probably my favorites to have with the symphony behind them.
That would have been really cool.
I'm wondering if they recorded it and have it put up. I'm sure somebody, cell phoned it at some point and it's somewhere.
Yeah, there was a guy in the row ahead of us, actually.
Oh,
That's the
I was just
word.
sitting there like this the whole time.
At least he had it down though. He had it like at his chest level because Ruth Eckerd Hall, like you're stacked upward, so you don't really get heads too much unless it's an elementary school field trip and you're the poor schmucky kid who gets stuck behind the other school's chaperone.
I mean,
Yeah.
so that's good, but yeah, it's still a little. I mean, when Rachel and I went to the concert last, people freaking their cell phones everywhere.
That was a particularly funny little hidden joke actually with the show. Was they had some radio DJ talking things up before the actual performance began, and he was talking about how audio video recordings and flash photography are prohibited. You could take photos up until the second song is over, which that seems pretty fair, right?
Mhm.
And then the performance begins, and it's just the orchestra playing the theme to Indiana Jones, and then Mission Impossible, and then the theme from Superman, and then they take like a 20-minute intermission. Weird Al doesn't even show up. So yeah, first two songs you can record. It's not Weird Al.
Also, it's the same conductor that does Distant Worlds.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
That's good.
Yeah, he is awesome. And holy shit, I think we talked about this when we went to Distant Worlds. This is the guy who kept the orchestra playing in the fucking dark when the power went out at Mahaffey Theater.
That's
Um,
awesome.
I guess.
But
if you
yeah.
got that memorized well enough.
Yeah, there's definitely a 29-minute video of Weird Al at Ruth Eckerd Hall 2 hours ago posted.
Yep. But yeah, I'm sure there will be either a studio version of it or something like where like with the Proto Men and Queen, how they were doing a live show, but they had it mic'd to record properly.
cool.
I wouldn't be surprised. Like nobody said anything about that, but I would be very surprised if they didn't because that's an instant gold mine.
Yeah. 'Cause
Bonus
I would be all over that. Not even gonna lie. What are you doing?
Also, we now have T-shirts of Weird Al riding a cello, so there's that.
I mean, why didn't you lead with that?
Because we had to get to that point.
Buried
Also,
the
Ruth Eckerd Hall is under construction, and getting in and out of there was real weird, but a million times better.
Good. Yeah.
Like you no longer have to do that weird thing where you loop around the building like 5 times.
Oh, thank God. It's a
And yeah,
hassle every
the
time we go.
501st showed up. That was fun.
They seem to show up in a lot of places.
Well, because of course he closed the show out with The Saga Begins and Yoda.
Yeah.
As you do.
That was the encore performance.
like a Distant Worlds where they always do One Winged Angel as the encore.
Yeah.
I wish they wouldn't.
I mean,
Okay,
that's one of the more redeeming things of Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah. And
The music was good, yes, but that's more on Nobuyamatsu than it is Final
Yeah.
Fantasy VII.
and Distant Worlds is about Uematsu, so I'm more okay with that, especially the one where we actually got to see him sing in the choir.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it was good stuff. Weird Al himself still looks younger than he did in the 80s.
He's
We're
what,
just-
60 now?
Yeah, he's in his 60s. He looks like he's in his maybe mid to late 30s, and he has the energy of a teenager. I'm calling it now. We can put him on the list of immortals with Keanu Reeves.
Except instead of blood, he just feeds off of pure human joy.
He is.
Well,
Oh yeah, that was one of my favorite parts of the concert. Actually, was right there at the very end when they were actually leaving the stage, and he was thanking everybody for coming out. You could see just the pure, unadulterated happiness on his face.
So he's 59, turning 60 on October 23rd this year.
Of course, he was born close to Halloween.
Even better, he's born on Mole Day for all the chemistry nerds.
Ah, that's amazing. So yeah, that was pretty much it for me. Still getting back into the swing of things with martial arts, trying to take it easy and not overdo it and kill myself. But been welcomed back with open arms, starting to remember a lot of stuff, and hopefully we'll get back to top form before too much longer. I recently got back in after 7 years out. We finally counted. And the important stuff is coming back to me. The rest of it is getting there. Or the important stuff, the technique never left. It's the rest of it I'm still having to relearn. But it is good stuff. CJ, what are you up to?
So, I got invited to play Code Vein over the weekend, and which is anime Dark Souls. And I went on a tangent about it when I played it at PAX East. And holy crap, that game is really good.
Quick tangent about that. I know a guy who was in the beta that's not CJ, who managed to hit a super lucky break where he didn't hit a loading screen right as the beta was ending. So he was still logged in for like 40 plus hours and streamed the whole thing.
That's awesome.
Just kind of screwing around the missile, showing the dodge mechanic and the combo mechanic and things like that, because he didn't want to hit a loading screen because he knew that's what would trigger him getting kicked out of the beta. And so he's tweeting at Bandai Namco. It's like, hey guys, it's 20 hours and I'm still going.
This rocket is the most.
Can I have a review code for the real game, please?
That's fantastic. That game is a lot of fun. It's ridiculous, and the only thing that I have an issue with it is I think it's going to take itself a little too seriously instead of owning up its potential absurdity. And I get it; they're trying to be more Dark Souls, but own up the fact that you're anime.
The game looked closer to the Dark Souls end of the spectrum than it did the anime end of the spectrum. And the only reason I got much of the anime end of the spectrum watching the guy who I was watching streaming it was because he had a glowing cattail.
Yeah, my dude
It's
has...
like, okay, yeah, that's anime as fuck.
My dude has a giant ass fro, huge sunglasses that take up half of his face, and a glowing neon heart that is constantly sticking out of his outfit.
Okay. So I guess it is true that the first boss of the game is the character creator?
Yes. Yeah, I spent what, an hour and a half in there?
Between you, me, and both kids telling you to change things, it's probably 90 minutes.
Yeah, it is the
and a
first
half.
and hardest boss in the game.
But it's fun because it's like, oh, do this, oh, do this, oh, do this. And then he's got the wig fro thing on, and he puts long hair and it makes it neon pink. And I'm like,
Yeah, so the fro is a hat So I didn't realize that until I started playing around with hair because I wanted to change the fro's color. And then all of a sudden I get down to like this long flowing ass hair coming out the back of my fro. So I made that bright neon pink. So I'm running around with this guy with what looks like it's just this neon pink cape flowing behind me the entire time.
Because why not?
Indeed.
And yeah, it is. I mean, it looks a lot like cell shaded Dark Souls, but like the animation in it is very anime. I'm sure once they get a little bit further into it, other than just the first area, it'll get a little bit more anime-y and less Dark Souls-y. They were not messing around though when they said, "Hey, the depths are very hard. You should watch out for that." I turn a corner and get smacked in the face for 40,000 hit points. Okay, you weren't lying. So, you remember last week how Rachel and I talked about how much we loved Aladdin, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Rachel and I decided it was a good idea to see the other movie that came out the same day Aladdin did over the weekend. Rachel and I had some time after the kids went to sleep. Grayson was being watched, so we went to go watch Brightburn. All right, so I have Movie Pass, and I wanted a fucking refund.
Wow.
So this movie had like everything going for it. It's a James Gunn joint based around evil Superman who is a child. James Gunn is a great schlocky horror writer who actually can lead with really good grotesque horror and not have you hate yourself for watching it.
You need to eat those words right now. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. No, and I talked Rachel into it with that. I'm like, hey, you want to go see what made James Gunn famous? She goes, yeah. I'm like, cool. Let's go watch Brightburn.
Wop, wop, wah.
So
Something I forgot to mention earlier, just a reminder to go back to this. Keep going.
So I almost forgot that Saw movies and Purge movies got famous between now and when James Gunn got his start. And promptly changed the face of horror movies. Yeah. Yeah. James Gunn, when he was doing his horror stuff, was always over the top. Like, his stuff was B-movie horror. So, like, he would actually have to make you freak out by actually making you think about things. And when there was blood, it was always, like, somebody slashing a vein in the neck and, like, thousands of gallons of blood flying out everywhere. Like, B-movie...
Like Scream.
Exactly. B-movie over-the-top weirdness. And I love that. And there was still some of that. But,
Oh yeah, the first couple were fun. The first couple was like, it's not the greatest movie, but okay.
Yeah, the first death on screen was a dude who, I'm not going to get too far into it, but letting his jaw hit the floor when Superboy did something awesome. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, I was, at that point, I was like, nope.
And the issue is, again, it's so serious. It's not like they frame this weird thing in a very serious light, and I hated it. I hated this movie. James Gunn lost his horror talent with making amazing Marvel movies, and that makes me very sad. But Rachel and I came home the next day after complaining about Brightburn. We were flipping through Netflix trying to find something to watch, and we found a Netflix original, Always Be My Maybe. Which, hey, that secret agent guy from Ant-Man is really funny, you guys. And it's a adorable little rom-com, super fluffy, ice creamy goodness.
And it has
everybody in it. But I know what you're getting at. So speaking of vampires, freaking one of the love interests in this is Keanu Reeves playing Keanu Reeves. But I did some research on it. There's a reason why he did not let it say Keanu Reeves as himself. because it is Keanu Reeves playing a caricature of himself as Keanu Reeves.
Oh God.
And he is...
That's amazing.
It is amazing. It is super over the top. He takes them to this hipster ass restaurant that cost them $63,000 to eat bubbles. But he's going around just talking about the amazingness of the universe and everything like that. And they go back to their hotel room, and they're playing icebreakers and things like that. And he almost picks up a table and eats it. Like, it's amazing. Like, it looked like he was just having so much fun in that. And then the man who bought them a $63,000 dinner in Keanu Reeves sends them home in a Uber share and not even an Uber X. But the end song is, "You best believe that I punched Keanu Reeves." And that is fantastic.
Wow.
It's adorable. If you have, what is it? A little shy of 2 hours. And if you're into Asian-based rom-coms, you can do much, much worse with your time than this.
What's the name of it again? It's Won't You Be My...
Always
Be My Maybe.
Always Be My Maybe. Like the Mariah Carey song, Always Be My Baby. Yeah, it's that.
I mean, it's got a really cute story behind it, too. They're best friends growing up.
Is Keanu punching a thing now? I would like to see it be one, but not like actual Keanu, because he's a joy. Like character Keanu punching only, please and thank you. Sorry, Rachel. I was responding to chats. Hey, Big Voice Jay, how you doing, brother? Other than that, Rachel and I have begun moving into a house that we've purchased, and I am super excited and want to get moved in, and we're not moved in yet, and that makes me sad. Boing. Exactly, computer. I appreciate you too.
So you know it's not a bad movie you should go see in theaters?
What's that?
Godzilla.
Yeah, that we forgot to mention when we were talking about stuff we've done.
Godzilla, 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 Godzilla.
We'll put it this way. There are reviewers and critics who have complained that the movie spends too much time on monsters fighting and not enough time on human drama.
I've heard that as well, and I'm like, seriously? No.
But it's a monster movie, so why do I care about human drama?
We had the human drama. It was called Pacific Rim,
Yeah.
and that had a good balance of human and monster.
Yep.
Yeah,
Kaiju movie. We should see Kaiju.
Pacific Rim
Yes.
1 had a good balance of humans and monsters.
I have not
There was only one Pacific Rim movie, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh,
So,
Okay, Sad Panda.
I didn't hate Pacific Rim 2. It was-
dude, you can't fridge Mako Mori. You just fucking can't, okay?
Still haven't
But
seen
yeah,
the original Pacific Rim.
There was just enough human shit going on to provide a narration to what the monsters were doing, and that was pretty much it.
Dang, that's
Also,
fair.
11 was in it, and she was good. And Ken Watanabe was awesome as usual.
Yes, anything that man is in is just breathtaking. That man always signs up for good things, I think. I don't think I've seen him
But
in
yeah,
a shitty movie.
it's a fantastic movie. There are some real nice, subtle nods to the old Godzilla movies that I loved, primarily like musical cues and whatnot.
Yeah, the score is amazing.
Nice.
And there is technically a credit scene because the way they do the credits gives you a lot of like little minor lore drop kind of things. And then there is a like end of credits scene.
Okay.
And you got to stick around for all of it because it's real good.
That's one we were probably going to go see after moving this weekend because I want to see it. And
Sweet.
Excellent.
finally got around to seeing the 2014 one, which is actually really good. Grayson disagrees.
Grayson, you can't have an opinion.
So-
You weren't born then.
Rachel, what have you been up to?
Well, obviously packing, moving, hence the workout clothes, considering I was moving stuff today. It's 96 degrees. Let's move in the middle of the summer in Florida. Yeah, this will be the last move for a very long time if I have my way. So other than Always Be My Maybe, which that was one of those, I need to find something stupid that's on for under 2 hours. I'm sick and tired of watching Food Network because I want to eat everything in sight. And I'm trying to get rid of the stuff in the house so I don't keep going out and buying more stuff, like for the fridge and freezers. So when I have to clean it, it's not as bad. So I'm like, okay, no, we need to get this. No, get it away. So we sat down and started watching. I'm like, yeah, if it sucks, we're only wasting an hour of time. We can just, walk away from it and never go back. No, we came home and actually put it back on. It's cute. It's got a sweet story. And yeah, it's flipping adorable. And then, of course, the love interest being Keanu Reeves, it's very tongue-in-cheek humor with him. And then kind of a smack in the face with it, too. Finished watching Chernobyl. If anybody has HBO, it's 5 episodes. They're a little over an hour each. Holy shit. That's all I'm going to say, because I know that there's a couple people that have not watched the whole thing yet. But holy shit. Going from what led up to the meltdown of the nuclear reactor and the explosion and the fallout, the disasters, the thousands of people that were killed, that the Soviet Union, their final death count as of today still remains at a whopping 31. That is what they have acknowledged as the death count for the explosion at Chernobyl, not including all the fallout. And they're saying by other numbers away from, the Soviet Union and Russia's numbers for it, anywhere from 9,000 or 2,000 to 31,000 because of the explosion. They can't give you an exact number because of all the extra ailments that cause these deaths that they can tie to it, but they can't prove that it was it. So just mind-blowing that this is history that, I'm 35. This happened in my lifetime. And the details that they give about it are mind-blowing. And Russia's pissed off at all this information being out there now. And the scary thing is it's not even all of it. So I finished that. History buff in me is impressed and frightened at the same time. And then I started watching the new season of Handmaid's Tale. Dropped Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. So I watched an episode and a half of the 3 that they've released of the new season, and I'm very happy that it's turning out the way it is. And kind of annoyed at certain other aspects of it, but it's going to be an interesting season, so we'll see what happens.
Art imitating life.
Yes.
Yeah, so the one thing that I noticed between certainly season 1 and season 2 of Handmaid's Tale is a certain person got elected between those 2 seasons, and it is very obvious that they are beginning to poke at that certain person in season 2, and it is a little irritating, and they certainly just continue pressing on that gear in season 3 hard. And it's a little irritating, but
yeah, you would think they'd be a little more reserved in playing their trump card.
Yeah. It's just one of those things that I keep noticing. I'm like, oh, come on, guys. Let's not keep pushing the button.
Man, when CJ says not to touch the thing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there was one of the episodes in episode 2, they were just going on hey, here's Trump. Here, look how evil Trump is. Here, look, you see how evil this guy is. Here's this guy. You should see how evil he is. He's evil, right? This guy is evil. And I'm just like, okay, all right, can we get back to...
I mean, apparently it bears repeating because some people still haven't gotten it.
Yes, and... That's just something that I wanted to go on tirade about really quick.
Write it in.
Okay.
Behave, boys. Behave.
No. It's like Josh
And
telling
then
me
I
not to
started
chat in chats
watching
and
what one
Discord.
of my coworkers said, "Always a Witch," which is actually it's filmed in Spanish and dubbed in English. So it's really interesting hearing this in English. And like, I watched English dubbed to Japanese things all the time, so I'm watching the words in Spanish in the mouth and hearing the English and going, like, it's breaking me because I speak Spanish, not fluently anymore, but I understand more than I speak. So I'm breaking because I'm like, I kind of just want to put it in Spanish and watch my kids Twitch and watch it in Spanish, but I haven't got the option of doing that. So I started watching that and promptly fell asleep. So we'll see what happens, because it really was breaking me seeing Spanish words formed in the actors' mouths and not hearing Spanish. Yes, I know. And you fell asleep with that too. Don't even. Other than that, I actually have been playing 2 games on my phone. One is, it's a stupid scrolly screen.
Sorry.
No, you're not gonna. You silence. Yeah. Obviously, I always have a child. Almost always have a child in my arms. When I'm not packing, I've got this little bean in my hands, and he's not so little anymore. So I can literally play on my phone like this, like one hand. Well, there is a game. It's called Archero, and you're a little archer dude, and you run through screens and shoot the shit out of things. And they attack back, and sometimes you make it to the next screen, sometimes you just, well, die. So I've been making my way through that one-handed, 3 o'clock in the morning, feeding him, going, must stay awake with child in arms. Damn it, I died. Watching it one-eyed, trying not to wake CJ up because I'm too lazy to leave the room and get out of bed. So there's that one. And then there's AFK Arena, which is, you create your team, you level them, you go AFK, they still fight on the same level that you fought on last, and they hold your money and you go collect it. It's a level by level dungeon crawler, basically. But it's fun, and it passes time. And it makes me feel like I have a life outside of, newborn and packing and moving and loading and unloading.
Yeah, I don't want to do that again for a very long time.
We had moved into this place, actually it would be a year ago in July, and they, valued tenant, here's $150 extra that we want to charge you for renewing your lease.
Cool.
Yeah,
So
no.
don't go there. Okay.
Like, you're a valued tenant. You've been a great tenant for this year. Let's raise your rent. You.
And the house is gorgeous. I love this house, but it's just, oh man, that's way too much. Like you are edging closer and closer
2
to
mortgage payments.
Yeah, you're edging closer and closer to $2,000 a month with with that, and I'm just like,
yeah, I'll say it. They were trying to raise it to $1,750 a month. No,
yeah, no.
that's 2 mortgage payments right now. No. So
Also,
yeah, that's a
more
bit
than 2 mortgage
excessive.
payments.
Also, pretty much limiting me to my job that I currently have forever and ever and ever, and I'm not all about that life.
Yeah. And though, yay, I'm getting, a $3,600 a year raise for my, $64,000 master's degree. Yeah, no. I know that CJ is not happy where he currently is, and when something rolls around and if it has to be less, we can work with it.
There you go.
Deuces, guys, we're not renewing. No. And if I have my way, I'll be out by the end of this month, so I don't even have to get charged for July, and you can just rent the shit out.
Sounds like a good plan.
That is life.
All right. Well, then, anything else you want to talk about, Rachel?
No, I have a sleeping munchie in my arms now.
Okay. All right, guys. We are going to take a quick break. For you podcast listeners, you're going to be hearing some ads. Support our sponsors. We love them, and we love you as well. We love both of those even more if you supported them. For those who are listening live and also on the podcast, you're going to hear the amazing, the stupendous, the one-of-a-kind Professor Shy Guy's Link's epilogue from his Blip album. Since we did not get to listen to it last week, and I want everybody to listen to it. It is amazing. Other than that, we will be right back. Stay tuned.
It always seems like Hyrule's fine until it suddenly unwinds. There's a world right below I don't see that unfurls so continuously. So you can take me right back to start. Take another piece of my heart, but I won't have to fight it alone. I have Zelda to carry me home. Another battle with Ganon, who just won't stop. No matter how many times Hyrule sees him drop. It never ends, but I woke up to do my job. Prologue or epilogue, I've had to walk to the dark world and back through time. I've had to sail across the great sea, I've had to climb. It never ends, but I woke up to do my job. Prologue or epilogue. They built the Guardians with intent, without regarding what they'll defend. What was once just a means to an end has now brought on a war we can't win. Now I will fight that eager clan until my weapon breaks in my hands. Then I'll reach for the first thing I find, and I'll fight till it breaks every time. Another battle with Ganon that just won't stop. No matter how many times Hyrule sees him drop. It never ends, but I woke up to do my job. Prologue or epilogue, I've had to walk to the dark world and back through time. I've had to sail across the great sea, I've had to climb. It never ends, but I woke up to do my job. Alright, prologue or epilogue, another battle with Ganondorf ends in loss. How many years must I wait till I sleep it off? It never ends, but I wake up and do my job. There's no end, just where it begins.
All right. Thank you guys for listening. If you want to have an ad-free experience, make sure you tune in live. Live, I tell you. Thursdays at 10 p.m. Eastern over twitch.tv/Geek IO Show.
It's alive.
Most days of the week. But we didn't just bring Leah and Ryoga on to talk about themselves, but they have an awesome thing coming up that I want to talk about in our Geek Out segment.
Oh, Geek Out!
All right. Hi.
Hello.
So tell us a little bit, well, not a little bit, tell us all about Fiero Initiative and your game and your upcoming stuff and everything that you could possibly talk to us about your game and company and such.
Tell us a lot of it.
Yes, all of the bits.
Well, actually, the story starts with me, which actually Leia was very kind to join me as a partner in this. But the reality is, a lot of what Fiero Initiative was designed for is that we were seeing a lot of gaps and things as we were playing at the game shop there where I work, of games that just were not there, or game styles or mechanics that were just not being made. And even though it was kind of tongue-in-cheek and kind of half facetious, they're like, well, if you don't like what's here, why don't you just go make your own? So that's what we did.
Fair.
Fine, we'll make our own card game with blackjack and hookers.
Well, pretty.
There's a couple of restrictions and stuff around that, and
Fine. We won't do blackjack.
exactly. That's exactly it.
Because that's gambling.
Audience possible.
And the only way gambling is legal is if it's card packs that are randomized.
Exactly.
Well, this is actually the first of a series of games that we've been working on called Orion Spur, which is also kind of a bit of a handoff to, or a bit of a, for those that are actually astronomically inclined, or whichever that term is. We actually, our solar system is in the Orion Spur of the galaxy here. And so that's kind of the backdrop of where all of this sci-fi based spaceship and species contact is basically placed. We're starting with a few species, of which even the Terrans themselves are human folk, are vastly different from what humans we know of now. I mean, the ones that still live on Earth still look like regular humans, but they've evolved forward some to adapt to the interests of space. And they've run into a number of other species, and as the game progresses forward, more and more species will be introduced, and more of the histories of how and why these particular groups and clusters got together and how it is they intermingle will be told as the games are released, which is going to be the cool part, is that it's going to be a growing universe that potentially has a number of other game forms in it that could be spun off later. If anyone is familiar with some of the series like Star Trek or Babylon 5 or Battlestar Galactica or any of those, it's kind of the entire storyline is a bit of a tip or a bit of an honor to all of those space operas where there's actually like character development and stories that go on, as opposed to just let's go blow things up. And granted, because we've had to make a game that's meant for a little bit shorter span of time, it is a little bit more action-based, where everyone gets in and starts blowing things up. But the idea is that there's an overall reason why that's happening, rather than just wantonly destroying things.
Everyone always asks, when do we get to blow shit up? Nobody asks, why are we blowing shit up?
Yes, that is true. And one of the things that I'm going to be doing is we're going to be supplying a number of short stories, vignettes, and other background as to why some of these battles are going on and some of the interactions, why some species cultures don't quite work the way that we would expect because they're aliens. That's the whole concept.
Nice.
That's one thing that always irks me just the slightest bit when I'm watching something sci-fi or fantasy. It's like all of these vast cultures that operate exactly the same ours do.
Yeah. And one of the things we've also been trying to do as well, especially with our artists, is that we've been trying to make sure that we don't have the human in a cat suit or the human in a bird suit or something along those lines, where it doesn't look obviously like the old sci-fi shows where they didn't have the ability to do all the cool effects. That it's not just a guy with a mask. It's a real honest-to-God alien that has different anatomy, different ways of communicating. They truly are an extraterrestrial species. And that's one of the things that's going to be a flavor and a taste of all of the different species that we introduce.
Things that actually evolved under different environmental conditions than the ones we did.
Which, by extension, will inform on their cultures and their societies and how they develop technology. We've gotten a number of pieces of artwork in, and they all have their unique feel to them, but they all look like they fit in the same universe.
Awesome.
Yeah, and one of the things that we've been trying to do is one of the things that artists like Rick Berman is a very good example, and a number of others from like the Star Trek age, where it's like it doesn't matter which series it was. If you looked at one of their ships, you knew what side of the universe it was from. And that's one of the aesthetics we're trying to work with to do this, where it's like you look at a card, you look at a particular figure, you're going to know, hey, this belongs to this species.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and having visual cues like that is really important to having a properly fleshed out world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very much so. Because, I mean, yeah, a lot of that's another thing, and especially in bad sci-fi, when everything looks the same, just slightly different shapes, that's frustrating and annoying when you can't immediately say, hey, this ship belongs to this species. Having uniqueness is needed.
I mean, you can see it even in things like Star Wars, where just about most of the main cast is human, but you know that's a rebel ship, that's an Imperial ship, and it's not just one has a shinier coat of paint.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I mean, you can do that, here in the real world with being able to identify different planes and ships from different countries. Like, it's normal for that stuff to happen, and it's nice to see that taken a step further in fantasy and sci-fi design.
It's one of the things that a number of more recent science fiction authors and designers have not taken into account, is that they have built what they want to have in a world without thinking about how and why that particular thing would be there. So it doesn't have the support that it needs to truly make the point that they're trying to do. Unlike, Robert Heinlein, Ray Bradbury, Isaac Asimov. These are people who crafted very well in building their universes with a consistency that carried through no matter where in the series you went. Some of the more modern authors like Elizabeth Moon and David Weber have been crafting these very solid multi-book series of science fiction worlds that have a life that you can believe, because it stays that consistency. You can see that their cultures are built around specific themes that make sense, and they grow in directions that make sense for what that culture means. And that's part of what I've been trying to work into this design, is that organicness of these cultures.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and Rule of Cool is a good way to start, but if you don't have the support structure there, it's just going to fall flat.
Mm-hmm.
It's like in any fantasy movie. It doesn't matter what the magic system is, as long as you're consistent with the rules of how the magic works. As soon as you break it,
Brandon Sanderson.
Yep, Sanderson's laws of magic are important.
Very true. Very true.
Yes.
So I can talk about the gameplay itself a little bit. So we are creating a new universe. It's set. What do we have? Like a good 600-700 years in the future. So the technology's there. Everybody can go out and run into all of these other species and cultures that happen to be in the same arm of the galaxy, even though it's called Orion's Spur. NASA has weird conventions.
Thank you for beating me to the joke. I didn't want to have to go out on a limb there.
We appreciate the fact that we were able to branch out for you.
Sometimes it's good to flex the joke muscles a little bit.
Besides, they try to tell you you should stick with what you know.
You should stick with what you know. But like Ryoga said, when you get down to the gameplay itself, the gameplay is you have a fleet of ships, I have a fleet of ships, maybe somebody else has a fleet of ships, and we are blowing them all to smithereens. Because it's fun. That would be the why as to why we're fighting.
Yeah.
Because it's fun.
And a lot of what you really commonly see for anyone who would normally be out in a space fleet of some type, the reality is that the majority of the skirmishes are not going to be these big epic battles like you see in Star Wars or whatnot, where you've got tons and tons of hardware firing tons and tons of bolts of energy all over the place. You're really going to have most of these little skirmishes where it's small squadrons of folks that get together, and they usually walk away after taking a few casualties, and whoever is still on the field is able to collect those resources. And that's a little bit more of the feel of what we've got, is that you're not really trying to destroy anybody outright. It's just you're trying to inflict enough casualties to make them go away. So there's a very small point value that you really need to fight for.
It's more about that war of attrition and not reversing the polarity of your photon torpedoes to trigger a tachyon burst that will take out their warp drive to yada 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 yada.
Yes.
No,
You
it's
sunk my battleship.
You sunk my battleship.
Which, funny enough, we actually do have battleships in this.
They pack a very big punch compared to the other ships.
But
Yes, they
a lot of this is based on the concept of you're going to be running into these encounters of small patrols. You're going to be running into areas where they're trying to explore for minerals or other life forms or whatever else it is that you're seeking for resources. And that's the reason why you guys are fighting over this turf. It's not a matter of you just out there for wanton killing.
No, it's resources. Go figure.
Exactly.
And I love that because I hate murder hoboism as a game mechanic. So I love that there's more thought put into why am I having to fight these people in the first place.
As a matter of fact, there are a number of places in the lore as I've been writing it where there are a number of species who have come together actually against common enemies at various times in this series of interactions between the species, which really, again, lends itself to this interesting mixture of balance and, how you grow and basically fill this particular small section of space.
So unrelated but dumb. I apologize there ahead of time. I wanted to make a stupid wonton destruction joke. However, I went to go double check the spelling of wonton versus wanton, and TIL, other than wanton being, of course, a cruel and violent action that is unprovoked, it is also a sexually unrestrained woman. Carry on.
I feel like in some book that descriptor was used at some point.
That's actually
Probably from a male author.
That's a Merriam-Webster dictionary definition, by the way. That's not an Urban Dictionary thing.
DJ, you seriously didn't know that? Your wife is an English major and you didn't know that?
Well, just because my wife is one doesn't make me one.
Touche.
Sorry. Yay, romance novels. Defining the English
Oh,
language.
your sweet, sheltered soul.
Ah.
Reading is fun.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So yes, continuing on.
So continuing on. So a little bit more in depth on the shooting. What helps this game stand out from some of the rest is it's not just you have this deck where you've built this deck of cards and you play the cards and whichever has the bigger numbers is the winner. We tried to incorporate a number of tactics both into the different types of ships, to the different weapons, to the different species, where as you're playing, you're trying to figure out what's going to be the best strategy between all of these to meet my goals. So every species has their own series of tactics that fits what they do. Like we have a lizard species. and they have the ability to ram their ships into other ships to do a lot of damage. But because we're trying to set this at a little bit more reality, there's going to be recoil damage, and by extension, because they're going to be taking more damage that they're through what they're trying to inflict, the double-edged ability from Pokemon, so that's a nice reference. They also have a lot of ways of healing or repairing their ships, so that way they can keep doing it. So when we get into the mechanics, we're trying to get into that level of detail where it's almost like you're playing a game like X-Wing or like Armada, where you're really playing out, here's where my ships are, here's who we're targeting, here's my ability, let me make sure this is able to meet my goal. But it's in card form, so it's a lot more portable.
So one of the things to keep in mind with this is that, unlike many of the cinematic sci-fi games, one of the other reasons why this stands out differently is since I have a rather very solid background in physics, I have done a significant amount of work to try to give the effects of physics without going into lots of details and overworking mechanics, to give it a feels where this would be a lot more realistic as opposed to just, hey, let's be flashy in Hollywood. No, this is actually the idea of this is working in a spatial environment. This needs to feel like you're working in space.
What? Physics?
I
would
know.
apply those.
Well, you know, you need those to be able to fire off the nukes.
Those are important.
They are indeed. Now, we have gone slightly Hollywood with a few of the larger styles of weapons, such as plasma shotguns, which are capable of firing pellets of magnetically contained plasma energy, which can hit multiple targets, or the I would call it, we're calling it a basically rock thrower because the size of, basically the size of the round that's being fired from what is basically essentially a very, very, very large railgun is just so massive that it's basically like throwing a moon at another person. And the idea being that you're using that velocity to go ahead, just wreck face.
I mean, the concept art, it is a rock.
We're probably going to have it cleaned up a lot better for the actual art, but the idea is that these are weapons that could conceivably be built right now.
Mm-hmm. And you got to have a little bit of the Hollywood flash and bang, right? Like, it doesn't need to be all of that, but having a little touch of it is always nice.
Because one of the big things in a game like this is you want your players to feel like, yes, I did a big thing. I did lots of damage to you. I am king. I am powerful. And that's one of the big things we ran into as we were playtesting and getting the game into its current state is player agency, player choice, and getting those yeah moments. That's what people want. That's what we also want to give people. That's part of why the name of our company is Fiero Initiative. I don't know if anybody's familiar with the author Jane McGonigal. She's a game designer who loves to design games that are meant to help people. And she wrote a book sometime around 2010. I know I got to meet her in 2011, and it's called Reality's Broken. It's a fantastic book, a little dated on some of the I wonder what's going to happen with this thing as you get into some of the later chapters. And one of the paragraphs that always stood out to me is she's a big champion for games and gaming. And she talks about this feeling of Fiero. And Fiero is the feeling where you've done something that causes such a rush of energy that it cannot help but express itself as like jumping up with your arms up and saying, yeah. And I assume we all play games. We've all had this feeling. It is a fantastic feeling, right?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what we want to do in this game. That's what we want to do as a game company, is provide opportunities to experience that emotional feeling.
Awesome.
one of the other things that we've worked into this particular game, which allows for that a lot better, and you get that feels of you're dodging around this fire, you're firing back at this, you're maneuvering around, is that it has a dynamic initiative where everybody is only activating a single ship at a time as opposed to their entire squadron. So that way everything on the battlefield is moving and fluid as it normally would be in a space battle where things are going back and forth. That gives a little bit more behind that Fiero moment where it's like, dang, I dodged around this and I went through that and I got past this guy and boom, I got your thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of those moments that we built these mechanics around, is to allow people to have those moments.
Awesome. So I'm curious what some of your favorite alien races are that you've made for this. Do you have some little tidbits you'd like to share with us?
I mean, I think one of the personal favorites right here, and I'm sorry that the podcasters aren't going to get to see some of this, at least on the podcast.
Watch the VOD.
Huh?
They can watch the VOD.
They could watch the VOD. They could also follow us on multiple social media networks and go to our website where we have some of this art hosted. But this is, the card says Cat Captain. Their species is the Mrushen. And we just love the look of how this guy looks, from the stoicness of the face to the tail grabbing the knife. He's going to mess somebody up.
He is a badass.
Yeah.
He is.
That is one of our current favorites. The species that I designed first, though, was really based, which are the lizard, the Hasuk, which I took actually out of a paleontological aspect, where they very much resemble the ancient Archaeopteryx, which was actually more bird-like than dinosaur. So
nice.
Lizards who actually are sizable, they're big, they're bulky, but they still have their feathers. And feathers are how they define who is in what caste and who takes what position, is what type of feather colors they have. And I built the culture around that concept and how they would build that. We don't unfortunately have the art for that available for you guys to see, but that is one of like my first species was that one that I built.
I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah.
So, and I'm guessing all these different races will have like different, like their own mechanics and stuff as well, like certain stuff that might be more of their own flavor or flair.
Absolutely. We have a number of species abilities that right now is unique across all the ones we've put together. Down the road, there may be some mix and match. So like the Hasuk, they're very punchy. They have that, as I mentioned before, they have that ram ability, and the way our game is set up, that does direct damage to your ship. Not your shields, but your ship, even if you have shields. And if your ship has a hole in it, you don't really have much of a ship anymore.
Stop blowing holes in my ship!
Stop blowing holes in my ship.
But like each one of the species, like the birds have the ability to work together to make their attacks more effective. The cats have the ability to withstand more damage because they have designed their ships around more of an aesthetic concept rather than a practical one. So it's required that they develop their shields and energy fields to a much greater level than others in order to maintain that beautiful aesthetic in their ships and dislike when you decide to scorch their paint.
So they gave their ships 9
this
lives.
glass in particular.
Yes. And as we do have many more species that are currently in the design works that are all going to have their unique flavor. And as they get introduced, each one of them will play differently to give you those sorts of flavors of where they were grown from or evolved from or whatever it might be in that case.
Nice.
Good stuff. I'm looking forward to seeing that lizard art. That's going to be so cool. I'm excited for that.
Well, it
Who doesn't like dinosaurs?
weirdos.
Perhaps.
Meteors don't like dinosaurs.
Ooh.
see the comment before on the rock thrower?
Yeah, we've got a number of pieces of art that just came in, so we'll drip feed those onto the wider internets.
Nice. Does this mean our wedding rings give us a +1 to punching dinosaurs, Josh?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. We'll go with that.
Sure, we
Just
can
don't
add
go to Australia to try and test that theory.
No, just find a chicken.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, you're not wrong.
I mean, I still wouldn't suggest punching chickens.
Well, you guys are living in Florida. You could always try the gators.
Yeah, definitely don't. I definitely don't recommend punching alligators.
No, they don't really like it.
No,
Also, you know who hates it even worse than the alligators? The Fish and Wildlife Commission.
that too.
Yeah, they do frown on that.
The alligator will fuck your shit up. The FWC will fuck up whatever the alligator leaves behind.
This is not untrue.
So going forward, what's looking like the path ahead for you guys in the next 3, 6, 12 months?
So right now, the next big thing on our list is we will be at Dice Tower Con in July, and that's going to be in Orlando. I know a number of our friends and a number of people in the greater Tampa Bay area will be there. We have been promised a slot for demoing. Right now it's set for that Friday, which is the 5th of July. And what we'll do is when we get final schedule and final time frames, we'll post whenever we're doing a demo while we're there. After that, we're in the process of putting together our Kickstarter page. And the current goal is to have that late July, early August. And once that's done, it's just getting the rest of the art together and getting the game shipped.
Yeah, everything else is done. So we're looking to probably ship first quarter next year.
Nice.
Tentatively. I mean,
of course.
I mean, if you have backed any Kickstarter and they're communicative in any fashion, there's usually a hiccup somewhere that you can try to plan for, and something may still happen. So while we have that going on, we'll try to be responsive to our backers. If there's a big thing that happens, we'll let them know, hey, this may delay your stuff, but we're going to do our darndest to get things shipped out on time.
Very cool. Yeah, that's one thing that when we were talking with Jason Michelli, who's the publisher of the freaking wildly successful Dungeon Drop game, by the way, last week, just talking about communication and community. It's the hugest thing. And like, I've backed more than my share of Kickstarters that I just either have never shipped or went years, and then they're like, hey, we still remember you guys. We're trying to get this done. Well, that would have been helpful to know years ago when you launched this Kickstarter.
Yeah. One of the other things that we're planning on doing as well with that particular Kickstarter is that we're really trying to help focus in on the brick and mortar stores. Because of the fact that a lot of the Kickstarters now are being more successful by working with the retailers, and it allows you a lot more of an impact as opposed to just, one shot and done. You can get a lot more residual. You can reach a lot more folks, and you support the local game stores where people can have spaces to play. So it's one of those things where we're really trying to look forward to making sure that they get backed as, they get some support as well, so that nobody gets left out of the equation.
That's awesome. It sounds like you guys have your heads in the right space, which is one of the reasons why I kind of fell in love with your guys' entire energy and everything. Like, you guys, when I met you guys at PlayCon, among just sitting there and being right across from your table watching the video go by.
I mean, I think that was an hour. I think it was a 1.5-minute video, and the convention was what, 8 hours?
Yeah.
Somebody can math on that.
Yep.
Yeah, just sitting watching it. Other than when getting over to meet you guys and hang out for the little bit that I was able to, just you guys have such a really cool vibe and energy about you, and you guys are really truly obviously love the game and what you're working on. So that is one thing that is it's nice to see, and even in smaller like 1 or 2 people shops anymore, sometimes people just want to get their one big break and then they'll make their passion project. They want to get their huge $1 million thing out there, and then they'll focus on what they actually want to work on. But they know through market research that this game is going to sell, and that's what they're going to do, even though they may not like it. And that's not you guys, and I freaking love that.
Thank you.
We appreciate that. One of the things we've learned from a lot of others who have gone before us, many of whom you never heard of because they never quite made it this far, is the fact that if you're going to do something and you're going to love something, especially if you're going to do it for a while, we have plans on being able to continue this forward with expansions and additional games and whatever else. So it really does behoove us to have this positivity to start for our opening project and gain that momentum forward, as opposed to just let me try to get this to get enough monies to get to where I really need to go, which never really gets you where you want to be.
Yeah.
That's the next game.
Right.
Yeah, when money's your key, it is not really, you're never going to make that. Like, it's, if you may be able to make a game that is accidentally a $1 million game, which is cool, but that shouldn't be your primary focus. And I love the fact that that is not a thing that you guys seem to be concerned with, and that's awesome. And I sincerely hope it blows up and you guys are the next big thing, but it's good that you guys have your heads where they belong and not in the clouds. In space and not in the clouds.
Exactly.
Yes.
I mean, it'd be great to make Exploding Kittens money.
Well, yeah.
They also kind of had a built-in fan base, and it's Exploding Kittens, so that kind of sells itself.
Yeah. Because cats.
Well, but you know what? We have cats in our game, so that will sell.
There you go. There will definitely be a certain type of people that will buy that strictly for cats.
If you build it, they will knock it over.
Yes.
Meow. Awesome. So
Sensei says.
We're going to go ahead and wrap up here as we are closing edger. Whoa, what? Those are not words.
Closing edger.
Those are words that I just said.
I feel like if you try to look them up, you might not like what you
No,
find.
kind of like Wanton.
Safe search on. Safe search on.
Oh God, safe search. It does not sync. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap up. Why don't you guys tell the folks at home? I know we just said this, but where they can find you at on the interwebs.
Okay, so on the interwebs, we do have our own website. It is fieroinitiative.com. That is FIERO. Make sure I get all my I's in here. INITIATIVE.com.
Could you throw a couple more vowels in there?
I thought about adding maybe a Y just to really mix it up. Call into question the status of vowel.
I see what
you can
did
also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Fiero Initiative. And just a reminder, it's Fiero without a Y.
Yeah, if you look, if you
on this podcast had issues.
So
with that.
The upside is if you try spelling it with a Y, it's not really bad because you just get a lot of stuff for the guy from Wicked, but it's not the same thing. Like I'm trying to figure out why nothing is pulling up as I'm trying to gather links. And I'm searching. What the hell's going on here? I know. I'm looking at your card. I'm like, what's? Okay.
Why do I do this to myself?
See, there's the Y that he was adding.
Exactly. There's your sometimes a vowel as well.
Yes.
All right.
Barring that, if anybody listening to this now or sometime between now and the week of July 4th, if you're going to be at Dice Tower in Orlando, we may see you.
I wanted to go so bad.
They have a kids' play day.
Yeah, I know. It's more so just that weekend is rough, and with us moving, I have to limit the amount of cons. I'm making my way up to Gen Con this year, and it's strictly because I am spent a bunch of my tax money to be able to go to it. And did PlayCon because, well, it's literally right down the street from me, so there's that. All right, guys. Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. Sorry it took forever for you to get on. I'm glad it is so close to 300 and we're able to do this awesome game maker marathon that we're doing because I freaking love talking to game makers. You guys are the best people.
Thanks, Ben.
Thank you. And thank you so much for inviting us to be on the show. This has been a lot of fun, and we're really happy to have another avenue to get the message out that this game is in the works. It does exist in a mostly finished state. It will be real.
Yeah, I didn't get the chance to play it at PlayCon because so busy, but we have plans to do live streams of the game, and I am super stoked.
Yeah. That's going to be awesome.
I am super excited to play.
You guys let us know, and we'll make it work.
Sweet. But you know what else works? Listening to us live Thursdays at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, Fridays at 12 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. I'm not even sure if that works anymore because I don't know time changes in Australia, especially when Dale's not there. At twitch.tv/Geek IO Show. If you want to email the show, you can at show@geek-io.net. All of our social medias, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, probably Snapchat, are all at Geek IO Show. If you want to give us a call and leave us a voicemail, 727-489-4335. That is 727-489-GEEK. If you want to chat with us anytime, day or night, you can go over to geek-io.net/Discord. And also, you can support this stream and everything that we do by going over to patreon.com/geekio. And if you link those two things together, you get access to really cool patron-exclusive stuff. But you don't need to do that. But if you are a patron, you do get access to a live feed, an ad-free master feed, and so much more. We don't know what's going on next week yet, so it is time for me to press a button of a thing that I closed, and I'm not at all vamping till I open it up, and I get to press this button.
The Summer Movie Smackdown Update.
It is heating up, you guys. I just realized that the two movies ending their run this week, Brightburn and Aladdin, both have the same Rotten Tomatoes score, and that's a fucking travesty. It's 56% for both Brightburn and Aladdin. That's not right, you guys. It's not right at all. Entering the second week is Ma, owned by Budlong, Rocket Man by Carrie, and Gozira, owned by Monica. Opening up this week, we have Late Night for myself. That'll make approximately $12. Secret Life of Pets 2, owned by Monica, and Dark Phoenix, owned by Budlong. This right now is the month of Budlong, and I have only a movie to catch up with him. He took over my number one spot. It was nice being number one for a solid week. $23.4 million. I am in second place with $20.2 million. Raul is in third place with $11.3 million. Josh is in fourth place with $6.2 million. Nope, $8.2 million. Monica is in fifth place with $7.6 million. And Carrie is in sixth place with $6.8 million. Hey, Josh.
CJ.
What's going on over on the Geek IO Network?
It's been a bit of a quiet week since the Monday shows are on break until we hit that sweet, sweet fall schedule.
It'll come back when I can get my pumpkin spice lattes.
And not a moment before.
I'm holding those shows hostage until I can PSL.
But a little bit of excitement over on Exploding Dice this week, because family. Oof, this write up. Family is strange, isn't it? Especially when that family wants to murder your friends. Some of my family didn't get that close, but yeah, family.
Yeah. I purposely wrote that knowing that both you and I would go.
Twitch.
.tv/Geek IO Show.
The joke returns. And CJ might be needing an infusion because he's been going through a lot of Bloodborne.
Yes. I've almost beat the DLC, which has no reference on my platinum trophy at all, but it has a really cool weapon that I want because that'll make the rest of the game farming that platinum very easy. I spent 2.5 hours trying to beat the fucking last boss of the goddamn DLC last night. I still fucking beat him. Orphan of Coast could suck a blood vial.
Salt is bad for your blood pressure.
But it's good for your Bloodborne. So we've had some titles put into the chat through the episode, and now is the time that Carrie embarrasses herself by reading them. Not many this week, and certainly not embarrassing ones, but hey.
We were too busy talking about awesome game. So we have You People Come In and Play Our Games, Carries the Duck, Guns of Whatever, and an orchestra. Those two kind of work together, and it's great. Human in a Cat Suit, Closing Edger, and Add Another Vowel.
I kind of love Guns and Whatever and an orchestra as a show title. I'm not going to lie.
Exactly.
I think it's just going to be
The only reason I voted for both of them because they belong together.
Right?
It's like the peanut butter and jelly of titles.
That is going to be our title for this episode because that's really good. Thank you guys for coming and hanging out with us. Leah, damn it, words. It's late. Ryoga.
You'll get the name right eventually.
Yeah. Right Ogre, because pre-show bits. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you again. This was a lot of fun.
I cannot wait to talk again soon.
Just let us know.
Play some awesome games.
Right. But for us, we will be right back here next week when we'll be doing certainly something. I don't know what yet. Probably in a new location. I don't know yet. But we'll find out next week.
Watch as CJ attempts to master juggling flaming chainsaws while riding a unicycle.
It's just going to be CJ at a desk in the back of a U-Haul truck that's parked on the side of Ulmerton Road.
Perfect.
No, in transit.
Yes.
I mean, I was going to say, I saw a guy, I was driving down Ulmerton and there was a truck and somebody was in a recliner kicking back while it was driving down. So it is possible.
Because it's Florida, of course.
On the way home from Weird Al, we stopped at Burger King because nothing else was open. And in the parking lot of the Burger King, there was a U-Haul truck, like one of the really, really big ones with the back open. And at least a queen-size bed mattress and box spring with sheets. And like 6 or 7 dudes just chilling in the back of it.
Huh.
And what else do you do on a Wednesday night?
All right, guys. We love you. Be good to one another. We will see you right back here next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
You have been listening to a Geek IO Media Network LLC production. Would you like to convert that to pounds? Copyright 2019.
Up all night to get lucky.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Bye.
Oh, yes. Audacity. I love you too. I immediately
Time for it to take 10 hours.
Right? Hopefully it doesn't. I don't know what the hell's going on with my freaking computer lately.
I mean, can't you just export it as a wave? Wouldn't that be faster?
I mean, saving the file itself shouldn't take that long. It just did for whatever reason. I restarted and it was faster, but I don't know. I don't even know why it did that in the first place.
I don't know. I've read a lot of like terrible things about saving things as AUD files and them getting corrupted.
Yeah. Yeah. Boop. All right, guys. As always, F your post show. You have a pre show. You should listen to that. But post shows are late. And I'm going to end the stream now. Bye.